Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So crypto carnage has seemingly begun as Bitcoin has finally taken a turn to the downside. And as we all know, that when Bitcoin does that, it typically drags the rest of the market with it. So the question is what does this mean for VeChain? VeChain was having a glorious day yesterday, pushing to all-time highs on its Tether pairing just to give it all back the very next day. Is this going to be a short-term to mid-term buy the dip scenario, or is a greater correction ahead of us that we're going to have to wait through? I'm going to pull up these charts and show you some key areas that I'll be paying attention to. Alright, VeChain up on the daily chart. But before I begin with VeChain, I need to address the obvious scenario that is unfolding right now, and that is found within the Bitcoin chart. Now, for whatever news reason is driving this, today I'm just going to be looking at this from a price action perspective because there's some very significant things transpiring within the chart. So first and foremost, a lot of people probably had this mapped in as a symmetrical triangle, and typically these symmetrical triangles will, under bullish conditions, will break to the upside at least 65% of the time. Now, there's also another scenario that was present here, which is a descending triangle between this liquid zone here and this downsloping resistance line. Either way, if Bitcoin gets a daily candle body closure in the next 22 minutes, which is very likely around the $31,000 mark, both those patterns will be resolved to the downside. Now, it's looking to me that if this daily candle body closes this way, there's going to be a little bit of follow through. And I think that follow through is going to take this rate down to probably the 55 exponential at the very least. That is coming in around $28,604, and there could be a potential bounce there. And perhaps that bounce gets us back up to the bottom side of this liquid zone here, which is coming in around the $32,000 mark. If Bitcoin continues to move like a freight train, then I'm going to be looking down to the 89 exponential moving average, which is coming in around the $25,000 mark, and also with confluence of this former liquid zone, which has a top side around $24,300. I think at the very least, if Bitcoin does get down around that area, it's going to be a bounce, and perhaps Bitcoin even finds its footing, picks itself back up, and continues marching in its bullish trajectory. And even getting all the way down there, I still think that Bitcoin is very much bullish. I think it's still, I think the overall trajectory and the trend is very much bullish. A lot more damage is going to have to get done here before I start actually getting worried about this. Being that I'm not new to the crypto space, I've been trading it all the way through the 2017 bubble and beyond, I'm kind of used to these sorts of moves. I don't want to use any words like expect or this and that, because I'm not looking at a crystal ball here. I'm not looking to outsmart the market, but I do know that these kinds of savage pullbacks are present. I mean, even looking historically at Bitcoin, leading up to the 2017 bull run, I mean, there was pullbacks like this to the tune of 40%. So I do know, and I'm aware in the back of my mind at all times that these kinds of moves are very much present. The volume coming in right now is very significant, getting above the moving average, as well as engulfing the last several days of volume read. So to me, this move is very real, and Bitcoin's been, parabolic for quite some time and was becoming fairly due for this kind of move. Now, I can also say that these kinds of things are healthy overall for the long-term performance of Bitcoin. I mean, the road to 100,000, 200,000 is still very much intact. And I do think these pullbacks are necessary, to definitely keep that bullish trajectory intact. Now, getting back to the VeChain chart here, VeChain was having a beautiful day yesterday with this giant celery stick here, jacking the beanstalk all the way above the top side of this liquid zone that was coming in around 0.032. Very convincing volume, above the moving average, engulfing lots of bars of volume read, and actually quite a nice daily candle body closure, only to give that all back today as Bitcoin is dumping. And we all know that when Bitcoin dumps, the alts get hit super hard. Now, when it comes to trading the altcoins, I usually look for the daily candle body closures as my first condition met for resolution of an overall greater macro range. And in VeChain's case here, that was found between these two purple zones that I've marked out here. This zone down here had a top side at 0.023, and then the top side of this zone here was 0.032, as I stated before. But for an extra layer of safety when it comes to altcoins, knowing how volatile the nature of them can be, I normally look for daily candle body opens and closes after that first initial closure. Now, sometimes I do miss moves because you'll get that daily candle body closure and then it's just complete follow through. But if you look back here, you see that we got that really nice daily candle body closure followed by a back test. Now, it is fair to note that wick got down below the former liquid zone, but the 10 simple moving average was right there to scoop it back up. Then it was the next day that we got the test of that top side, and then the rest was history. So normally I look for that kind of behavior before putting my money at risk for any further upside or putting on confirmation breakout trades, just because I know that when Bitcoin dumps the way it does, it can negate even the best of technical analysis. And this is very much that scenario. So now that VeChain has re-entered into this range here, not a death sentence. I'm not overly worried about it. I know that sounds funny coming off of at the time of recording, a 16.5% dump on the day, but it's still closing daily candle bodies above all major notable moving averages. All these moving averages are still very much positively sloped to the upside. And right now it's wicking right off the 10, which is a very strong reaction to the 10 at the time of recording. Now, an area I'm going to be paying attention to is the 1.618 of the Fibonacci extension. Very significant horizontal coming in here, and that is around the 2.5 cent mark. The 21 is also in confluence with that. And for those of you following along with my videos, you know that anything closing daily candle bodies as well as opening them above the 21, I still remain overly bullish on that. Now, VeChain could in time close some candles below that 21, which I think would start applying even more sell pressure to it. And in the event that it does do that, I'm going to be looking down to the 30 and this liquid zone right around here. And the top side of this liquid zone is coming in around 0.023 and has that bottom side coming in around 0.021. And the 55 exponential moving average is also there in confluence with that. Likely a tradable bounce at the very least. And obviously this is still heavily dependent upon Bitcoin, but perhaps that is an area to be paying very close attention to. As long as VeChain stays above that, I still think the bullish trajectory of VeChain is still very much intact. Of course, there will be some sell pressure being applied because it'll be below that 21 and the 10, and we'll have to see how these moving averages decide to sort themselves out. It's also notable that there is some bearish divergence now very much present on the daily RSI here. You know, getting this daily candle body closure here around 0.028 definitely would confirm that as bearish divergence. And not only that, but the RSI would be kicked out of the bullish control zone, as well as confirming below the exponential moving average, with the exponential moving average being negatively sloped to the downside. So definitely sell pressure on. Sell pressure on here too in the stochastics, as these are likely to confirm a close to the downside. And with the overall conditions of the rest of the market, this is likely a notable signal. MACD2 losing tons of momentum here. Likely we're just going to see this thing get beat up a little bit here. So at the very least, I'm looking for VeChain to stay within this overall greater macro range right here. You know, if VeChain starts closing any daily candle bodies below the 2 cent mark, then likely some more downside will be initiated, perhaps down to the 89, just like with Bitcoin there. There's also another notable horizontal coming in down there around 0.018. That will be another area to pay attention to, assuming that VeChain even gets down that far. I mean, for all we know, the bulls will step back in with Bitcoin at a moment's notice and pick it back up, and the stronger alts will follow, as we all know. But that is what I'm looking at inside this chart right now. It's unfortunate that Bitcoin has decided to do that, as VeChain was looking very, very good. However, the party certainly is far from over. This just simply isn't for the squeamish. If you're new to cryptocurrency, welcome to the fucking show, because these pullbacks can be absolutely savage. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to leave you off with that for today. I'll be keeping an eye on this. Probably bring you another update over the weekend as to, what I'm seeing, and let's see how this thing plays out. Let's see how bloody this thing really gets. Anyways, you guys, thanks for coming by and checking out this video. Have yourselves a powerful day.